Hello, welcome back. It is week 197 on Out on That Line podcast. I'm Jeff with my co-host Alex. As always, Alex, how we doing this week?
Oink, chop, sizzle, crunch. I'm ready to kick this pig into third gear, Jeff. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. We are going to be talking about Tame Impala and his new album. Should I say their new album? It's one guy.
It's one feller.
Do I have to say they because it's a band name? It's singular. He's a Tame Impala.
Yeah, just call him T.I.
T.I. Yeah, that'll work. No one else.
That'll not be confusing.
Yeah, that won't be confused. Well, T.I. has come out with a new album called Deadbeat. Well, that actually may be true.
Hey, wait a minute. Breaking news, folks. We did it.
Tame Impala, an artist we've done before. What was the album called that we did before? I looked this up earlier. The Slow Rush.
2020.
I have always liked Tame Impala. Well, I should say I've always felt like Tame Impala was fine. And there's been a few songs that I've really, really enjoyed by him. This album, I think, is I can't say it's bad. I can't bring myself quite that far. But I also will refuse to say it's good.
It's very diplomatic of you. I will say it's bad.
Okay.
I will say it's bad. Okay. And I really like Tame Impala. I probably am a little...
Sell me. Get me off the fence.
On the badness of it. Let me just put it this way. It is inspired by an Australian subculture of rave gatherings called Bush Doof.
Okay.
Now, I knew a guy named Bush Doof, and I don't want to tell you what he's in prison for, but he's going to be in there for 30, 35 years. So, douche boof. Like, I look at it and like, no disrespect to our Australian audience, but it's like, if you're setting out to make rave music, you're setting out to limit yourself. And when you are an artist like Kevin Parker, Tame Impala, who has a history of doing so much more, of like really pushing the envelope in terms of like psychedelia and electronic psychedelia and kind of psych pop and these like very unexpected rock elements. And you're known for doing a lot of like very creative experimental stuff, to then go, yeah, I aspire to throw all of that in the trash and make rave beats that would no doubt fade into the background. And even in the pantheon of rave music, of dance music, doesn't stack up. It's not my genre, but at least something like You Sexua by FKA Twigs and Brat by Charlie XCX, those go hard. Those chug along. There's a lot of like great production value in those. So even if it's not like my preferred genre to sit down and listen to, you know, you put that on at a party, I'll get in there and I'll be, sometimes, to quote you, sometimes you got to beat the beat up. Sometimes you got to beat the beat up. And I will get in there and I will beat the fuck up to something like that. But this is just like some of the most anemic. It's such a step backwards from songwriting, and like we'll get into lyrical content, but you made stuff like Inner Speaker, Lonerism, Currents. I know people weren't crazy about the Slow Rush. I really liked it, but you've made like a murderer's row of 9 out of 10 albums to then come out with this after 5 years. I'd like to blame his children, because I'm pretty sure it was Dracula that he finished mixing after the birth of his second child. And like, that's the only thing I can figure that's different from, you know, on the Slow Rush, there was a song about proposing to his wife. He got 2 kids now. All I can figure is that his kids fucked this up. So thanks a lot, you little dweebs.
Yeah, and I think so. The reason I'm so on the fence about it, and it's not like I'm unwilling to agree with somebody that says it's bad. I'm not really willing to argue for it either way. The thing is, to me, I've never gotten in an elevator and felt like, oh, this music's terrible, I wish I didn't hear it. If I heard this in the context of like a hotel lobby or an elevator, it's fine. It's just fine. But as an album, especially knowing what he's been capable of in the past, like this just felt more like when a producer just makes a catalog of beats for people to peruse through to see what they want to do or take for their own to do a feature on or something like that. Like that's what this felt like to me. It's hard to judge it as an album because it didn't feel like one. Like to me, there was a cohesive sound, but it was a boring sound. It was just felt like there was nothing there.
Yeah, I would agree. Like Kevin Parker does a lot of talk out of his ass, quite frankly, on this about like I have it written down in my notes, like conceptually exploring the line between two things. Like you're trying to explore the people love the term liminal spaces.
Mm,
Hear that all the time in the art world. You know, the organic versus the synthetic, the perfect versus the imperfect, and the
hmm.
line between two things. I'm like, that is so general, it could have been a building.
It's very Burning Man to me.
It's very Bush doof.
That's like Burning Man corporate speak.
100%. That's
Yeah.
some crazy Bush doof shit. And you know, he by his own admission, he calls the sound simple and shabby, and boy is it both. It
Yes.
is too simple to be interesting, and it is too shabby to hang your hat on in terms of enjoying. Like, if you want to make again a whole album of Bush doof music, if you want to make rave music, dance music, give me something like the beginning of Blade. But like there's just there's nothing here. There's a startling lack of substance from someone who is very creative and very like almost all of this comes entirely out of Kevin Parker. And there's such a creative engine in there and you know, he rejects like the studio genius myth and is like, well, everything goes on instinct and it's messy and I'm not Brian Wilson and that's great, but this isn't even like messy enough to be interesting or
Hmm.
interesting enough to be messy. Like it doesn't feel like it's flying by the seat of his pants. It feels like thought went into this. It was just bad thought. There
Hmm.
was nothing worthwhile to say. There was nothing interesting about it. The Dracula song makes me want to drive a stake through my own heart.
Hmm.
It's just like it feels unfocused. It feels you can't say it feels sloppy because it's like meticulous in its inanity. I mean, it's really bad. It's bad. I
Hmm.
saw people saying they didn't like it, and I was like, "Wow!" People said they didn't like the slow rush, and I love the fuck out of that
Hmm.
album. But this is bad. This is a bad album.
So I think this is a perfect example, and we just talked about it in the episode we did about D'Angelo, which folks should check out, where we were talking about, one of the things that he would talk about with writer's block is the songs, you can't force them. They're created by living. You come up with them because you go out and you live life. That's how they come. This to me felt like it was very forced. Like he had a specific idea of making this like desert rave kind of music, and that everything then had to fit in that box. So maybe he did have some good things to say and he just couldn't make them work with that. And but to me, I'm like, if that's the case, that's like giving him a huge benefit of the doubt that there was ever really anything good going into this in the first place. But even if that's the case, like, why would you force it like that? Like I understand, or why wouldn't you just be like upfront when you release the album, be like, hey, I know people have been waiting for an album for me. This is probably not what you're expecting, but I just felt like I wanted to make these desert rave beats, and if you want to hear them, here they are. It's one thing if you come out with the album and like that's your intention, but when it's treated as a release that people then get hyped up and excited for, and it's completely not, I don't think anybody's got any right to expect a certain thing out of an artist, when they make us, I don't think an artist should ever be responsible to their audience in that way, that they have to make a certain type of music. But I feel like an artist is responsible to their audience in a way that you have to do something where it really feels like an effort was made. This doesn't really feel like that.
It has to feel like an effort was made and like there was a purpose behind that effort.
Hmm.
What was the point of all this? And he's not a singer songwriter on the level of like a Gordon Lightfoot. And they're like, I'm not saying like let the fact that you had two children and you got married and I guess like his I'm always gonna say, by the way, tinnitus. I don't care if it's tinnitus. Sounds pretentious to me.
Hmm.
Tinnitus. I'll be fucking a wrong goober about it.
It's
But
not
he
like
had like a
they won't hear you anyway. So Okay.
Oh, hi-oh! Shout out to Ti. I wish I could unhear this album. But like he had like pretty severe tinnitus like earlier in the year, and it like triggered a lot of issues with exhaustion, and so like that's all, you know, terrible. And then you have these wonderful things about like your children being born, but like somehow you're not obligated to write about either of those things. You can make something conceptual, like we were joking around about Ween the mollusk. If
Mhm.
you want to make something conceptual, if you want to make something like very loose, have a point to it. But he doesn't tap into anything, either from personal experience or from out in the world. Like, where does a song like Dracula come from? Where does a song like Loser come from? He ostensibly Loser is about like revisiting teenage feelings of alienation and the expectation to conform. And it's like, how is that relevant to you now? Like, where
Yeah.
did you come up with this? Like, what made you think that was an urgent thing to talk about, a relevant thing to talk about? If you can make it relevant, if you can prove the point to me, by all means. But to just like, it's kind of like the worst form of conversation is sitting around like, remember when?
Mhm.
Yeah, small doses for something like that. But like, I look at this and I'm like, what is the point of any of this? If you were scoring a rave, if it was some interesting story, like I was specifically commissioned to write the soundtrack to a Bush doof,
Mhm.
that one big giant Australian Burning Man thing, or fuck it, Burning Man commissioned Tame Impala to write the soundtrack to Burning Man. And we're going to do this vertical integration thing where you're going to be hearing this album everywhere, all throughout Burning Man. And then we're going to like coincide it. It's going to have like a big release party, and there's going to be a bunch of like, you know, painted
Mhm.
butt cheeks and all the Burning Man hits, and people flying biplanes and nothing but a cocksock, and you know, ayahuasca as far as the eye can see. If you have some big conceptual crossover planned for it, by all means, if you're going to do something cool. But it is a weird decision at this point in your life, with as much fodder as you have for your writing, to take such a step back into like the like pre-primordial ooze. You're
Mhm.
not even going back to your like raw psychedelic roots. You're not doing anything interesting at all with the subject matter in the songs or the beats or the way it's produced. It's very, very baffling for someone
Mhm.
who enjoys Tame Impala and who enjoys music.
Mhm.
It's just kind of, it's a little fucked up.
Yeah,
A little
and I
fucked up.
really like, for me, I don't it's hard to even talk about any sort of bright spots on this because it all really sounded the same, and I really didn't care for any of it. And to me, I think the fact that it wasn't even offensive to me is almost even worse.
Yeah.
You know, that it just is nothing. It's hard for me to even rate it. I mean, it's going to be a skip it for me, but it's like it's hard to even like justify it with a rating. I just feel like it's not really an album.
No, it's like the weirdest misfire. It's the most misguided thing you can think of. It's like, I'm going to put on this very offensive Halloween costume and go downtown. Why? I don't know. Like, that's like this is the living embodiment of that. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's hollow, it's directionless, it's pointless. He's trapped in this weird loop of fatigue, and has like, is like trying to ape stuff like, you know, producers like DJ Python or something like that,
Mhm.
but you don't have that same technique and
Mm-mm.
finesse and like deftness of the touch, again, for a genre that I don't care about, but that I respect the people that work in it. Just because it's not
Mhm.
for me, for the people that like that kind of thing, it's the kind of thing they like. But this is just so like flat and overly sanded down. If your whole thing is like, perfection is boring, I tell my musicians when we're touring and we're playing this music live that I embrace the imperfections. You make a mistake, celebrate it. That's a bit you being a human being. Sorry to the Australians for doing the accent. But like, okay, that's a fun thing. I feel like that's like a geese ethos,
Mhm.
where you embrace the flaws and do something cool with them. The Dead did it all the time. Now, half of those times Jerry was on heroin, and that's where the fuck ups came from. But like embracing imperfection is one thing, but then like on this album, it's been polished down into like the most flat, generic, half-hearted, unfinished fucking thing you've ever heard. Like Dracula, the spooky Dracula song is like a total afterthought. There's a song on this called Afterthought, and how appropriate, because it's what it feels like. It's like the sense of craft has gone out the window.
It's funny because I think Afterthought was probably like the only song that I feel like I liked on this, that I would probably go back and say that was a decent song.
Yeah, maybe like ironically, I'll join you in that, because this whole album felt like it was dashed off after a tough shit at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It's just this is like dead end music. And it sucks because I know Kevin Parker is talented and I really love Tame Impala. The song Eventually is like one of the most painful. It's not even a breakup song. It's like a pre-breakup song.
Mm-hmm.
It is the hardest thing to listen to this day. You remember every time you've dumped or been dumped. So like there's an emotional resonance to Tame Impala that is there, that is not present on this album. This is a wacky misfire. I don't know where this came from or why he did this, but this fucking sucks, asshole. I'm not even going to give it the courtesy of a skip it. I'm going to say burn it with fire. Kill it with fire.
Skip it with prejudice.
With extreme prejudice.
Not appealable, folks. Not appealable at all. Well, you can appeal to us in the comments down below. If you like this album, you can try to explain to us why. And if you didn't like this album and you agree with us, we'd love to hear that too. In fact, we love hearing praise. We love when we see that like button. We love when we see those subscriber numbers go up. So hit that bell, get notified, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma. Just set it up on your grandma's phone to automatically download and play every week. That would be fantastic. She would never notice. And if she does, she'd probably love us. Grandmas love us. Where are they going to find any past videos and that ability, that almighty ability to comment and tell us how pretty we are?
Look, if your grandma's looking to get down, okay, if she wants to pinch the cheeks of a nice young boy, let me tell you where she might find not one, but two of them. YouTube.com/C/out on that line. Folks, it's grandma's choice. It's granny's lucky day. She's gonna drop those bloomers when she sees exactly what we've got going on over here tonight at the channel. We have our reaction videos. We have the podcast. We have On the Record, where we take an intimate look. Oh, grandma, intimacy, holla. We take an intimate look at artists and specific albums that made an impact in their careers and our lives. We don't really do anybody that's made an album, I think, before like the 1960s, but you know, grandma was probably 45 and still looking pretty good back then. So why don't you just take those teeth out, honey, and put them on the nightstand, because you're not going to need them where you're going, at youtube.com/C/out on that line. I can't wait to taste grandma's cookies. And I made myself a little sick to my stomach throughout this whole thing. I don't feel good about this. I wouldn't feel good if someone said it about my grandmother, but we're talking about your grandmas, and they need some love, and they will find it at youtube.com/C/out on that line for the grannies.
I just don't even know what to say.
It's mental illness, folks.
Until next time.